Kemmler.
Hello everyone, I'm Sebastian Kemmler. I'm one of the founders of creative agency Kemmler Kemmler, and we are an agency based out of Berlin. We are focused on creating culture impact for brands, and today we're very happy to showcase the Tinder single not sorry case to you, and because others in our agency can talk to this case much more competently than I can, I've invited a lot of team members who have actually been really involved with this case and can tell you much more about it.
Kemmler.
Young people today in Gen Z, we live our entire lives online, and that doesn't exclude our dating lives as well. You know, dating us to understand that we're looking for real and authentic connections, that these brands also understand the diverse backgrounds and the differences in our cultures that we all come from. There's such an oversaturation of advertisements and marketing schemes, and sometimes as young people we get a little bogged down, and it's really challenging for us to really decipher what is the best option for us. And sometimes the best options are non-traditional advertising techniques, which I think will help dive into how we made that possible with Tinder and what that looks like from our agency.
So the key creative twist for this campaign was to try and achieve a shift in the perception of Tinder from being a platform where people meet each other to hook up to a platform where people meet each other to create new experiences. And in order to do that, we had to create a creative concept across 3 cities in Europe: Paris, London, and Berlin. And in each of those cities, come up with fun dating activities that felt at the same time aspirational, but also realistic and achievable. And that each of these experiences together, whether or not you end up moving forward with that person, go towards your overall journey of development and personal progression. The key shift on the part of Tinder is that it becomes a tool for people's personal development as well as the development of their love life and relationship. So particularly in the German market, the situation with communication around dating apps, it was very fake and very phony, and it was very idealized around this. Everything was geared towards this idea of meeting your perfect life partner whom you will settle down with and you will stay with for the rest of your life. And not only did this not feel necessarily the right message to bring to our predominantly Gen Z audience for this campaign, but it also felt disingenuous. And pushing this fictitious view of what dating online can be like was something that we wanted to step away from as much as possible. And so instead of casting models for this platform, for the campaign, purely just on their aesthetic value, we went and tried to locate a combination of real streetcast Gen Z members and influencers from within that community, all of whom were already Tinder users and were very familiar with the brand and the way that it fits in with their lifestyle. And by casting members of our target audience in our campaign, the entire campaign overall felt immediately real and relatable and authentic. We felt it was really important to close the loop and actually connect people from where they were seeing the campaign on the streets of major cities around Europe and bring them onto the app itself. And to do this, we incorporated the exact URL link for the campaign stars who featured in our campaign on the campaign assets themselves. And this meant that it didn't matter where you encountered the campaign. In each case, you had a direct call to action that could connect the audience directly to the Tinder profile of the people in the campaign itself. And from there, they could swipe right on the campaign stars themselves and really place themselves within that whole world of the campaign that we were trying to show. And the campaign stars themselves were actively participating on Tinder to find matches and strike up conversations that could lead to real-world connections following on from them.
As we've established, one of the focus of the campaign was to work with local people and local talents and local influencers. But that, of course, also meant that we had to shoot in local places. We wanted to have locations that were recognizable and that we could identify. If you were in Paris, that you could potentially recognize the pool where they were swimming, and same for Berlin and the vintage store, which meant that we had to shoot in three different cities within 9 days, which that's where the craziness came from. We shot 3 days in London, 3 days in Paris, and 3 days in Berlin. And we were just basically hopping through cities, changing local teams every time getting a costume to different talents, different camera assistants, different, set designers and crews. So that was definitely a huge challenge that we took upon us. And I think it was quite essential to have somebody like Basha on board. It was the first Tinder campaign that was shot and directed by a woman. So I think for us as Kemmler was also very essential to bring in this female perspective, which I wish it wasn't a fact that needed to be mentioned, but unfortunately it is, because it's still not that common.
According to the concept and the idea of this campaign, we really try to capture and reflect the Gen Z spirit. So really this unapologetic, fluid, fresh, vibrant aesthetic that is also, of course, rooted in the spirit and the mindset of the new generation. And then also bringing that into social media, because it allowed the campaign to blend into social media feeds very nicely and naturally, because it spoke that language. In general, for our work for Tinder, is really to expand this platform as not only a dating app, but a platform for a community that is looking to connect and communicate through themes from meme culture to pop culture relevant moments, and to reflect the aesthetics of that as well in the campaign.
This campaign set up our content strategy to further establish Tinder as a lifestyle brand, and we're now in a happy and healthy long-term relationship with Tinder as their social media agency. And our main goal is to bring the cultural relevance of Tinder onto Gen Z social media feed.
Most impressive number is that actually more than 700,000 users swipe on our campaign singles.
That's over 50,000 swipes for each of our singles.
So a lot of potential matches. And also the campaign got more than 220 million impressions and 4.5 million clicks, which is also really cool. And yeah, the click-through rate was 2%, so this was more than we've ever expected.
The whole campaign and the success showed us that campaigns today need to work in 3 ways. Firstly, we've moved Tinder from being a dating app to being a cultural relevant player in the field of love and relationships. And I think that's something all brands can really learn from, that they need to move from just their product specifics into their cultural space in the world. Secondly, I think the authenticity and realness, like moving away from these fake dating campaigns into realness and allowing people to find real matches through the campaign, was really, really remarkable. And thirdly, the smartphone is just the killer medium of our times, especially for Gen Z, and great campaigns today need to be conceived of smartphone and Gen Z mobile first. And I think that's what this campaign showed really nicely. We conceived the whole campaign so the kids in the streets with the smartphones, they can interact on the app. I think that is the third pillar of what makes campaigns great today. So many thanks for having the opportunity here to show our wonderful Tinder case, and looking forward to your questions now in the Q&A session. Thanks.
Kemmler.